I don't know if you've been following the news, but Detroit just filed for bankruptcy last week. And that's made all the news, but this one didn't. It made the local Detroit paper. And the police broke into a home, and they discovered the following: 200 semi-automatic rifles, 25,000 rounds of ammo, 5 million in forged banknotes, 200 pounds of heroin, and 25 prostitutes, all in a semi-detached house behind the library on Woodward Avenue. And it said the local residents were stunned. A community spokesman said, "We're all shocked. We never knew we had a library." Was that the story you wanted me to tell? Oh. 19 years ago, I coached Sarah's softball team. It was a U12, that means 12 and under. And they'd asked me at the beginning of the year if I would be assistant coach, just help out. I said, sure. I showed up the next week, the coach had quit, and I was the coach. My brother and I didn't get to play sports, organized sports, when we grew up. We lived on the farm. It was too far to go. Life was just too busy. So I really didn't know much about coaching. But I love kids, and I love games, and so I said yes. We had a great year. They were a bunch of girls that an idiot could coach them and they'd win, and we proved that over and over. At the end of the season, Sam was our first base girl, and she asked if she could pitch one of the games. And so I think it was our last game. I said, yeah, you can go ahead and pitch. She got up to the mound, and she threw a couple bad pitches. And the other coach smelled blood in the water. And so he started yelling at the batter, "Don't swing, she can't pitch." And so the girl stood there, and sure enough, she ended up walking. That happened on the second batter, happened on the third batter, happened on the fourth batter. Now the bases are loaded, and somebody's already walked home. And a lot of people were yelling advice. The other coach was yelling, "Don't swing, she can't pitch." The teammates were yelling, "You can do it, Sam." If it was short, they'd say, "Throw it a little harder." If it was wild, they'd say, "Throw it to the glove, Sam. We're behind you, Sam." All the things that she probably already knew, but that's softball, you yell stupid stuff. And I was just sitting there watching, because I didn't know how to coach. I was thinking, man, she can't pitch. And finally, Jan Litke was helping there, and she said, "Marty, you got to go talk to her." I said, "I don't know what to say." She said, "Doesn't matter, you got to go talk to her." So I did. I went and we had a little talk. And what I said is inside this. I went back. She threw the next pitch, it was a strike. She threw the next pitch, it was a strike. She threw the next pitch, it was a strike, and the girl was out. Next girl came up. She was a little more nervous than the one that just walked back. She threw another strike, and another strike, and she was out. Third girl got up. And by this time, she's looking daggers at her coach, who's still yelling, "Don't swing at anything, she can't pitch." Because that was the only game plan he had. Nobody had ever beat us. very few had ever scored against us, and he got a run in, so he said, I'm sticking with that plan. So another pitch was a strike, another pitch was a strike, and on the third one, the girl just swung like crazy because she wasn't going to go home. Totally embarrassed, but she was out. Game was over. We won. Sam was the hero. Now, I don't know about you, but there are a lot of people came up to me, just as you just said, and said, what did you tell her? What do you tell a kid that's 12 years old that has just thrown 14 balls and walked 4 players, and you can share a little message, and she turns around and throws and strikes 3 people out? And I thought to myself, before I tell you the answer, how much do you think that's worth? How many of you have been on the pitcher's mound and had that happen? Yeah. How many have been the coach of somebody that happened? What would that be worth to you, Mike, be able to say something to him to turn the game around like that? Yeah. A lot. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we should take another offering here. I'm thinking this ought to be a movie. And I'm thinking big royalties. At least an episode on Duck Dynasty, I don't know. Well, here are the details. She was standing out there all alone. I walked up to her and I said, Sam, what's up? Didn't know what to say. She says, well, I really wanted to pitch. I'm a left-hander. I thought it'd be a good thing. But I really don't want to lose the game for us. And if you want to pull me out, that's fine. Well, I didn't know much, but I knew this. I knew we were ahead 25-1 at that time. It was the 5th inning, and you can only score 10 runs on an inning. And so I looked at her and I said, Sam, it doesn't matter. We've already won. I said, you still want to pitch? She said, yeah. And you know the rest of the story. You know, and I've thought about that since. When I've told the story before, I always thought, well, I said something really special. For somebody who didn't know how to coach, I said something pretty special. And as John and I were talking last week, as we were watching Nathan play, and what does it take to give a kid courage in life, I realized that it was more than just what I said. It was the fact that she believed. She had the trust and confidence in me to believe that what I said was okay, and it gave her the confidence and the freedom to do what she did. That little girl was Sam Eisenberger. A couple of years ago, she stood by as her brother was dying. A couple of weeks ago, her dad passed away. And so I thought, being as I was talking about her, I should call her, and I did. And I asked her how it was going. And she's had a rough couple of years, but she said, I'm hanging in there. And I said, do you remember that time? And she says, well, kind of vaguely. And I was actually glad she didn't remember it that well, because that means it wasn't a traumatic experience for her. But to have that confidence, to have that strength to go on in the midst of, she's faced some pretty tough things. And here's the things, folks. You might know it or not, but we have a library. It's full of rules and regulations, but it's also full of promises, and most of them are for our benefit. There are a lot of situations in life, and there's a lot of people yelling a lot of crappy stuff at us. And if you know the rules, at least if you know the rule maker, you might have a lot better shot in life. And it said this word, it's not only rules and regulations and stories and promises, this word became alive and walked among us, died on the cross, and that word became Jesus, and he sent his Holy Spirit to be our coach, our helper. I think there's two people here today that need this message. One is someone who's probably standing on the mound and wondering what to do, and the other is some of you, perhaps your parents, and it's your kid. You need to go talk to them. And you need to tell them it's okay. We've already won. We've already won.